latest what's happening here in Pakistan, the latest security situations, the political developments. Of course, Peshawar incident, one of the major security development in the country, which has really put a red light alert in different places, not only in Pakistan, but maybe in the neighboring country.
Well, thank you very much. I think this is the most pertinent question arising in Pakistan today. Yes. The situation is definitely very bad. I mean, nobody can say it is under control. It is absolutely terrible. Yes. And out of control. Having said that, I believe that it can be brought under control. But it can be brought under control with authority, with boldness, with courage, and with good decision making. Now, unfortunately, that is what is lacking. Now, while we need the whole nation to be together, one, to fight terrorism and defeat it, we are not one. The responsibility for this goes to the government. The government must unify the nation, and I know that the people of Pakistan are all together to fight this curse.
Peshawar incident brought these two parties together. Nawaz Sharif, I think he came with the APC meetings, the all-party conference. But I noticed there, sir, that your party was not invited. Why is that, sir?
Well, first of all, yes, all parties went there. My party is rather in the nascent stage, maybe. That is why it was not invited. Maybe it was not invited because of me, because of his personal differences and personal antipathy towards me. That is why it was not invited. But however, unfortunately, although all these parties came together, they developed a consensus to fight terrorism together. But beyond that, the decision making took a very odd turn in that they formed committees to plan the action. Now, that is where things go wrong. Poor decision making. A decision has been taken with the consensus of all political parties and the government and the people of Pakistan that we must fight and defeat terrorism. Sure. To this extent, that is enough for consensus at the national level. Now, to implement this decision is the responsibility of the military to make a plan how they defeat terrorism, and the government itself, because this military plan has to be in sync with all organs of state like economy, information, interior, foreign policy. All these have to act together with the military plan to succeed.
Do you think, sir, the military code that's been established and been endorsed by the parliament recently will solve a part of the terrorism on the border, along with the military operations that's been going on in North Waziristan?
Well, it will be a good step forward, I will say. It will be a very good step forward, because unfortunately justice was not, speedy justice was not being delivered against very vicious terrorists. Terrorists who would start threatening the judges, terrorists who would threaten the witnesses. So therefore, it was difficult to, they were not being punished. Most of them were getting scot-free, and those who were punished, the punishments were not being executed. However, it is not the end. This is not all that has to be done. I think the action has to be expanded. The military action has to be expanded to all areas of Pakistan where different nuances of terrorism exists. Like, we are talking only of North and South Waziristan, but what about what is happening in Balochistan, the separatism and the sectarian terrorism? In Punjab, it is all sectarian terrorism. Yes. In Sindh, in Karachi particularly, it is sectarian, it is ethnic, it is political. So we have to act in all these places to strike at the root of terrorism.
Do you think the armed forces are having the ability and capabilities to fight on all these fronts, where you have an enemy on the western border, and you have enemy on the eastern border and the turbulence in the western border with Afghanistan.
200%, I'm sure that we can deal with it, for the reason it's not the army alone. There is second line force of ours, which means Frontier Corps Baluchistan, Frontier Corps NWFP, Rangers Sindh, Rangers Punjab. Now they are very strong. Force is enough. And then we have to also bring in, when I said in the plan, the action plan, the organs of state, one of the organs of state is foreign policy. Now we have to make sure what is the pressure being exerted on us externally. We deal with that, and that is dealt through a successful exterior maneuver, as they say, a foreign policy, where we need to make sure that whoever, India and Afghanistan, we need to make sure that there is no interference from these two areas against Pakistan's interest.
The fingers are being pointed at General Parvez Musharraf that beyond 1999 there was no a wave of terrorists activities as compared to the present or after the United States forces and NATO forces has come to Afghanistan. And what is we are watching today or what witnessing today is the repercussions of maybe decisions made by General Parvez Musharraf, the president at that time.
No, I think this is, whoever says that is a very short-sighted, a very ignorant person, whoever says that. Religious militancy in this region was introduced since 1979, frankly, when the Soviets invaded Afghanistan and they captured Afghanistan. A jihad was launched in Afghanistan against the Soviet forces. And in this jihad, Mujahideen were brought from all over Muslim world, 25,000 of them. And Taliban were also armed and trained and inducted into Afghanistan. So that was the start of militancy. Then comes my period, 99. Certainly in Pakistan, we were having 4 million refugees when all this was happening. And we had a spate of extremist attacks. At that time, sectarian extremism. The sectarian extremism was the menace. And it was a very serious menace. Sectarian extremists, terrorists, Sunni terrorists, killing Shias. So this was a common occurrence. But then came 9/11, and after that, the whole picture of terrorism changed, although sectarian remained, but then we got involved with this Taliban, Al-Qaeda, etc. So one has to see the whole picture in a clear manner to understand what has happened in this region.
Yes, so 2011 and 9/11 incident. I really want to ask you these questions since you're taking the decisions to join hands with the international forces to enter Afghanistan. Did you have any other choice, like saying no to them, for example? Yes. If you said no, what would be the the feedback, or what is the repercussions would happen if you said no?
Yes, indeed. I think you put it in the right way. There was no other choice. Now, anyone who speaks that we got sucked into this because of my decision is totally an ignorant person. He is an ignorant man. There was absolutely no other choice other than to be a part of the world decision. The United Nations took a decision unanimously by the whole world, including all our friends, all Pakistan's friends, China, this entire Gulf state, Saudi Arabia, UAE, everyone was in favor of striking the Taliban. How could Pakistan be alone? How? And secondly, we certainly, India would have cooperated, and we would have had a military confrontation with the world superpower and India together, and all our interests would have been compromised. All Pakistan's national interests would have been compromised.
During your time till you rendered your resignations, the Americans in the first period of this war on terror in Afghanistan, they were very happy with you. And after that, they thought that you made took them for a ride and you just took money out of them and you give them some, Al-Qaeda leaders like Sheikh and so many people. And after that, you told them that Pakistan's national interest is number one. Do you think, sir, that the American has, at the end of your tenure, has backed their support or had left their support to you? If it would have been there, maybe you would have continued till now?
Well, I don't think this is commonly believed.
Yes.
First of all, those who say that they don't understand me. Firstly, I made no secrets about one issue. In any of my interviews, in any of my private discussions, whether it is the President of the United States or anyone, I stand for Pakistan's national interest. I stand for Pakistan first. This has to be very clear. And any country does that. Every country does that. Yes. Every country follows its own national interest. If anyone thinks that I was the kind of man who will compromise Pakistan's interest for somebody else's interest, no. I made it very clear and everyone knew this. I strongly believe that the leadership in the United States knew that. I don't think they ever, right up to the last moment, had any doubt that I am playing a double game. Yeah. There was no double game. I was fighting terrorism, extremism, but in a way that Pakistan's interest was being served. So I think those people who say that they don't understand me, they don't understand Pakistan's requirement.
How to deal with the proxy intelligence war that's going on in the regions for the past few years? Now, Indians accusing Pakistan of importing terrorism to India. Afghanistan, a blame game, it's been going on for so many years. What is the solutions?
Yes, solution lies in stopping all this, obviously. Both sides, when I say both sides, India and Pakistan, have vulnerabilities, have sensitivities, which can be exploited by the other side, by each. We can carry on. We have been doing this since 50s. The ISI and RAW have been on a confrontation course since the 50s. Nothing new. Yeah. So whatever we can do to them, whatever they can do to us has been happening. Let us talk frankly. That has been the case.
Sure.
So if India says only Pakistan is exporting terrorism, well, that is not the case. You are exporting terrorism into Pakistan. So this must stop. Now, how to stop it is the question. Yes. Resolve the disputes. I mean, quite clearly, what is our problem? Why is this happening? Because we don't like each other. We have fought 3 wars and many conflicts like Siachen, like Kargil. So we have been fighting each other since 1950s. Why? Because of the disputes. So there is a Kashmir dispute, which is the core. There is a Siachen dispute. There is a Sir Creek dispute. There is a water dispute coming up now. We must resolve these disputes. Sit peacefully, talk to each other and resolve. That is where the problem comes. Now, India thinks that they are very superior. They have a vision of this whole region, that they are a regional power or they will become a regional power, and that then they will become a global power. In that, they find Pakistan as a thorn in their side. They want us to be like small countries like Bhutan, appeasing them, listening to them, towing their lines, which Pakistan is not. So our issue is, we want peace, but with sovereign equality and with our honor and dignity preserved. But I have been warning India that their weaknesses and vulnerabilities are far more than Pakistan's. They must understand. If they do this, Pakistan has all the right to counter it in their country, and then we are going to end up with what they say is LIC, low intensity conflict between the 2 countries, and also maybe a proxy war in Afghanistan, which is not good for Pakistan or Afghanistan or India.
Do you see any military conventional confrontations ahead, where the NATO forces are leaving, Afghanistan is vulnerable, the LOCs, flamed up. How do you see the scenario in the coming days or in the coming weeks?
No, there is no possibility of a conflict, of a war, of an open war between India and Pakistan. It is not possible because of the balance of forces between the two countries. First of all, the conventional balance of forces. The conventional forces that we hold in Pakistan are enough to deter aggression from India. And over and above that, we are both nuclear powers. So therefore, there is a nuclear overtone here in conflict between India and Pakistan, which the world cannot accept and which India and Pakistan both will not accept. Now, Afghanistan, when the forces leave, there will be a grave situation, possibility of a grave situation in Afghanistan. If the foreign ISAF and American forces leave lock, stock and barrel, there will be total anarchy and conflict again in Afghanistan in aid of the Afghan National Army. They remain there, then a status quo probably in Afghanistan as the situation lasts today will be there, and in this there is hope. There is hope that a good president like President Ashraf Ghani now, who is a balanced person, acceptable to the world, understanding issues between India and Pakistan, he could bring some consensus within Afghanistan to govern Afghanistan. Now that is the hope, and in this hope, certainly India and Pakistan must stay away from Afghanistan, so that we allow them to come to some mutual agreement within themselves for a good government, peaceful government in Afghanistan. Let us reinforce the hands of President Ashraf Ghani rather than creating trouble for him by having a proxy war between us, between India and Pakistan in Afghanistan. So let India understand this problem and let the Americans understand this problem and make sure that India stays away and Pakistan must stay away also.
In Afghanistan during Karzai's government, there's been always a repeated request that Pakistan, or maybe in the I side, intelligence should stop the support for the Haqqani group in North Waziristan. If the scenario that you are talking about, that we should leave Afghanistan alone, will Pakistan or India, will Pakistan especially, will support any groups?
We must not support any group which is causing trouble in Afghanistan, because that will cause trouble for us. We want peace in Afghanistan. But similar is the issue of Maulana Fazlullah being in Afghanistan, in Kunar. Now we know that he was there and Karzai government was supporting him, right? We hope that President Ashraf Ghani understands that he was being supported by Karzai, probably by the Indians, right? So let that stop. Let that stop. So don't keep asking Pakistan for a one-sided action. It is, you clap with both hands. You don't keep demanding from Pakistan while you stab us in the back somewhere else. So it is not only Haqqani group or anybody for that matter, any group.
The man of Kargil and the man of cricket diplomacy, that was General Musharraf. Till today, the New Delhi has still pointing finger that you're the man of Kargil, but I think they're not highlighting the man of diplomacy. You reached to the extent where you have a close deal with the Indian. Yes. What is the advice that you give to the present government, how to deal, other than the strategy that you talked about, the proxy war, how to deal with the diplomacy with the India and Afghanistan?
I mean, yes, yeah, I would say the man of it was Kargil, which.
Why did you do that, sir?
No, well, you should first ask Indians why did they do something in East Pakistan and Siachen and everywhere. I personally, as the military chief, I feel proud of the whatever action took place there, and I feel proud that we brought India to its knees there in Kargil. So I feel proud of that as a military man. I am a military man, a soldier. When you wear your uniform, you wear it to fight, not to sit in drawing rooms and eat and have tea.
Sure.
So therefore, I feel proud of that. But may I say, that was why we came on the man of peace. That is exactly why the talking took place. We went to Agra, we went to Delhi, and we started a peace process. And in this peace process, I used to tell the prime ministers, please tell, we must both, I told both prime minister, we must both stop RAW and ISI to troubling each other.
In Wikipedia, I just read a piece of brief about you in 1993. You were with Benazir Bhutto and attended a meeting, secret meeting with the Israeli Mossad. And you were.
So who had this meeting?
You with Benazir Bhutto and the Mossad.
And
that was
Mossad?
Yes. That I read it in Wikipedia. I mean, maybe you revised that. But of course, you were the first president to address the Jewish councils in the United States. You were the first president to initiate the campaign of recognition of Israel. What was the purpose of President Parvez Musharraf at that time to have this political rapprochement with the Israeli government?
Yes, this is a very important question. First of all, I had no meeting with Mossad. I don't know how you are saying that.
Well, that is in Wikipedia, so maybe you can. That is
no, zero. Whoever says that is telling lies or it's wrong. I had no meeting with Mossad ever. Now, if somebody is meeting me and he happens to be in contact with Mossad, I don't know. I don't know that. I was meeting many people. With Benazir, yes,
so
indeed. I did meet American Jewish Congress, the president of American Jewish Congress, Mr. Jack Rosen. He came and met me. Yes, indeed. Now, if he is some Mossad man, I don't know. Well, I met him. But I had a design for Pakistan. As I said, everything is for Pakistan. I am not doing it for myself. I thought that, first of all, on a principled stance, while we are with Palestinians, with the people of Palestine, certainly Pakistan stands with them and I stand with them. I think they have been wronged. I think we have to correct this wrong that history has done to the Palestinians. But we must do it peacefully and remove this dispute in a peaceful manner. And I thought, since so many wars have been fought between Israel and the Arabs with no resolution, and now that Israel is a nuclear state, I believe that now is a state where Israel's existence has become a fait accompli. Now, if that is accepted as a fait accompli, we must try to resolve the Palestinian dispute and give something to the Palestinians, resolve the issue of Jerusalem, resolve the issue of settlements in the West Bank, resolve the issue of Palestinian refugees all over the world. They can be resolved. All these three, these are the three disputes of Arab-Israel. Now, if we can resolve these disputes peacefully in exchange for acceptance of Israel as a fait accompli, this is what I thought. Now, in the interest of Pakistan, I know that the Jewish and Indian lobby, which is very strong,
yes,
internationally keeps damaging Pakistan. So why not? And we have no direct links with Israel. What is our problem? We are so far away. So why not neutralize one to deal with the other one in a better way?
There are so many cases against you before the ATC, the anti-terrorist court, but the most crucial case, it's that being in the court is treason. And how will you deal with these cases? We hear media reports that General Musharraf might leave Pakistan in any moment. Will you leave if these cases have been cleared, or any deal will happen between the maybe back doors?
Yeah, no, last point first.
Okay.
What you said, deal happening, no. I will not have any deal. There is no deal going on. Never will there be a deal that, okay, you leave me, I am going and I will do this for you. Never. This will never happen. I want to stay here and I will go as a free man. There should be no check as I go and I come back. There is no question that I will go and not come back. There is no question. We will fight these cases legally because I know they are all politicized and they have no legs to stand on. So, I hope that sooner or later they will die down.
With the new political order, you were the first president, I believe, to visit Russia during your time. And Pakistan has always been shown as a strategic partner to the United States, but in so many occasions the United States has not shown or has not done what Pakistan was expecting from the United States. Don't you think that Pakistan must look forward for a new regional order?
The geostrategic focus of the world now, after the Soviet defeat in Afghanistan and the collapse of the Soviets, has shifted from Eurocentric to South and Central Asia here in our region. That is the world's focus and the world powers focus. It is here now. Now, this is where now we need to work on, and Pakistan, as I said, is fortunate to be in this region which is so important now. Therefore, our position now, our geographic location is also such that we can play an extremely important part in the linkage of Central Asia with South Asia. We are the link. We are the trade and energy corridor in this region. So, any links are through Pakistan. So, Pakistan has a tremendous geostrategic importance. Now, we come to realities on ground. US has interest here, China has interest here, and Russia has interest here. Now, what Pakistan has to do is see its own interest first of all and see how it fits in the three other interests and deal with the situation accordingly in its own interest. Certainly, Russia should understand where Pakistan's interests are, where the future emerging geostrategic realities of Indo-US collusion, etc., going on. They will pursue their own interest, and Pakistan should pursue its own interest vis-a-vis United States, Russia, and China.
General, it was really indeed a pleasure to have you with us, and thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you.
And hope to see you also in another interview very soon.